Stop waiting for corporate to save you. Why the Black recession is your permission slip to build your own empire. I want to start by introducing you to someone who completely shifted the way I see this moment we're living in. Sunny Smiles is out here doing the real work, the transformational work, empowering Black professionals to stop waiting for systems that were never designed for us to suddenly start working in our favor. They're teaching us how to turn what looks like economic devastation into a launch pad for entrepreneurial freedom and generational wealth. Their insights aren't just timely, they're revolutionary. And I'm honored to bring their wisdom to you today because what they're building is changing lives, reshaping narratives, and proving that our liberation has always been in our own hands. So let's talk about where we are right now, because this is the part that's going to sting a little before it starts to heal. 75% of Black professionals say they feel completely unprepared for the job search in this market. 75%. That's three out of every four of us staring at our LinkedIn profiles, scrolling through job boards at 2 in the morning, sending out application after application, and hearing nothing but silence. Hiring is down 20% from where it was before the pandemic. Federal layoffs have gutted entire sectors, and Black women, the backbone of so many of those agencies, are being hit the hardest. 200,000 Black women just in federal cuts alone, and Black unemployment has climbed from 6.2% to 7.5% in just 1 year. Some economists are calling this a Black recession. And honestly, when you look at the numbers, when you talk to the people living this reality, it's hard to argue with that label. But here's where Sunny Smiles completely flipped the script for me, and I hope it does the same for you. What if this isn't just a crisis? What if this is actually the universe, God, the ancestors, whatever you believe in, tapping you on the shoulder and saying, sis, it's time to stop waiting for someone else to open the door. It's time to build your own house. Because while the traditional job market is slamming doors in our faces, something else is happening that we need to pay attention to. Over half of Black job seekers are pivoting to freelance work, contract roles, consultancy gigs. They're not sitting around waiting for corporate America to get its act together. They're leveraging AI, they're sharpening their skills, and they're building independent wealth on their own terms. And that right there is the counterintuitive insight that should shake us all awake. The very thing that looks like it's breaking us is actually breaking us open. It's cracking us wide open to possibilities we never would have considered if the traditional path had kept working. Let me take you into the data for a second because this is where it gets real. And this is where we start to see the roadmap. Lauren R. Douglas, founder and CEO of the Harvey C. Russell Jr. Institute of International Business and Strategic Coalitions, has been sounding the alarm about what's happening in Washington, D.C. In a city where 43% of the population uh, is Black, federal layoffs are absolutely devastating communities. 271,000 federal jobs cut. And the ripple effects? They're hitting Black women who've been the backbone of those agencies, the ones holding down households, raising kids, leading teams, mentoring the next generation, and now suddenly they're unemployed. But here's what Douglas isn't doing. They're not just documenting the pain. They're not just wringing their hands about how bad things are. They're calling Black professionals to harness artificial intelligence, to build inclusive capitalism institutions, to turn this economic disruption into an opportunity for enduring Black led wealth. They published insights urging us to design AI tools for problem solving, for wealth building, for resilience. They're saying, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is unfair, but we're not going to let it define us as victims. We're going to use this moment to build something that can never be taken away. And that's the pivot. That's the softness in the survival. That's the refusal to let this moment write our story for us. Then there's Jeffrey McKinney, who's been featured in Black Enterprise and who's been guiding Black professionals through this absolute maze of a job market. McKinney looked at the same LinkedIn data we're all seeing, the data showing that 66% of us think the job market is harder now than it's ever been, and said, okay, so what are we going to do about it? And the answer McKinney is giving us isn't to shrink, it's not to play small, it's not to apologize for taking up space. The answer is to build a personal brand that's so undeniable that opportunities come looking for you. It's to showcase AI literacy, adaptability, conflict mitigation, all the skills that make you indispensable in a market that's constantly shifting. It's to engage your network aggressively, not passively. Comment on posts, share insights, send personalized messages to recruiters because that triples your chances of getting hired. Triple. That's not luck. That's strategy. That's you taking control of the narrative instead of letting the narrative control you. McKinney's work is a masterclass in turning obstacles into opportunities, in refusing to let the system's brokenness dictate your worth or your future. And then there's the aggregate story of Black small business owners that we need to talk about because this is where hope lives. 3.59 million Black owned firms, generating $217.3 billion in sales, employing 1.2 million people. These aren't just statistics on a spreadsheet. These are our aunties who started catering businesses out of their kitchens. These are our cousins who turned their side hustle into a six-figure consulting firm. These are our neighbors who said, I'm not waiting for a corner office in a company that doesn't value me. I'm building my own empire. They're navigating inflation. They're dealing with staffing shortages. They're facing economic uncertainty that would make most people curl up and quit. And still, they're thriving. They're proving that when the traditional path is blocked, we don't just sit down and cry. We create new roads. We build new maps. We become the architects of our own futures. So let's talk about what Sunny Smiles taught me. The three keys to not just surviving this moment, but using it to step into your soft girl era of entrepreneurial freedom, because that's what this is really about. It's about releasing the cape, it's about redefining strength. It's about choosing softness and strategy over hustle and burnout. First, prioritize skills over traditional resumes. Listen, your resume is important. I'm not telling you to throw it away. But if you think a static resume is going to tell your whole story in this market, you're already behind. LinkedIn data shows that the fastest growing jobs right now are in AI roles, freelance opportunities, and fields that demand adaptability above everything else. Can you navigate AI tools? Can you mediate conflict in a hybrid work environment where half the team is remote and the other half is in office and nobody's quite sure what the rules are anymore? Can you adapt when the rules change overnight, when budgets get slashed, when entire departments get restructured without warning? These are the skills that make you indispensable. These are the skills that get you noticed. And here's the kicker: when you message recruiters directly, when you highlight these skills in a personalized, thoughtful way, you triple your chances of getting hired. Triple. That's not luck. That's not networking magic. That's you being strategic. That's you taking control of the narrative and showing up as the solution to someone's problem before they even knew they had it. Second, activate your network aggressively. I know you're tired. I know you've been strong for so long that the idea of reaching out, of asking for help, of being vulnerable enough to say I'm looking feels like too much. But here's the truth that we need to sit with for a minute. Your network is not a favor bank. It's a community of people who genuinely want to see you win. 66% of Black professionals say job hunting is harder now than it's ever been. That means two-thirds of us are in the same boat, rowing in the same storm. So why are we rowing alone? Regular check ins, LinkedIn engagement, building a personal brand that reflects who you actually are, not who you think you're supposed to be. These aren't extras, these aren't nice to haves. These are essentials. Your connections can give you insider insights about companies before you even apply. They can introduce you to opportunities before they're posted publicly. They can vouch for your skills in rooms you're not in yet, but you have to show up. You have to engage. You have to let people know that you're open, you're ready, you're building something new, and you're not ashamed of it. Third, embrace entrepreneurship as resilience. This is the big one. This is the one that Sunny Smiles kept coming back to over and over again. With Black unemployment rising and a potential Black recession looming over us like a storm cloud, waiting for corporate America to save you is not a strategy, it's a gamble. And the house always wins. But pivoting to freelance work, to small business ownership, to building something that you control, something that reflects your values, something that can't be taken away by a policy shift or a budget cut or a new administration, that's resilience. That's wealth building. That's you saying, I'm not going to let this moment break me. I'm going to let it break me open to possibilities I never would have considered. Black owned businesses are already generating $217 billion in sales. That's not a fluke. That's not an accident. That's a blueprint. That's proof that we don't need permission to build. We just need to start. And the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, especially in this era, is that it doesn't require you to hustle yourself into the ground. It doesn't require you to sacrifice your peace, your health, your relationships. It requires you to be strategic. It requires you to leverage technology. It requires you to build systems that work for you instead of you working yourself to death for systems that don't care about you. It's the ultimate soft girl era move, creating abundance without sacrificing your peace, building wealth without burning out, designing a life that feels good, not just one that looks good on paper. Now, I want to take you back to something Lauren R. Douglas said that's been echoing in my mind ever since I heard it. They talked about building inclusive capitalism institutions, about fostering Black wealth through adaptive tech entrepreneurship. And what struck me, what really hit me in the chest, was this. They didn't say survive the recession, they said transform the disruption. That's a mindset shift, that's a spiritual shift. That's refusing to be a victim of circumstances and instead becoming the architect of your future. And that's exactly what Sunny Smiles is teaching us. This moment, as hard as it is, as unfair as it is, as painful as it is also an invitation to stop chasing scarce corporate jobs that don't value you and start building your own AI powered empire, an invitation to redefine what success looks like on your terms, not on terms that were written by people who never had you in mind. An invitation to step into your soft girl era where strength looks like boundaries, where power looks like rest, where wealth looks like freedom. So here's my challenge to you, straight from Sunny Smiles playbook. And I want you to do this today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Reach out to one recruiter on LinkedIn, not with a generic message that you copy and paste to 50 people, but with a personalized note that highlights your skills, your adaptability, your unique value. Tell them what problem you can solve, show them who you are, and then reach out to one potential collaborator, someone whose work you admire, someone who's building something you want to be part of, someone who could be a partner in your next chapter. Don't overthink it. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just do it. and then track it. Track how that one action shifts your trajectory over the next 30 days. Because here's the truth that nobody's telling you: you don't need 100 opportunities, you need one good one. And you create that by being intentional, by being bold, by refusing to stay passive in a world that wants you to stay small. The soft girl era is not about giving up, it's not about quitting. It's not about lowering your standards or settling for less. It's about giving yourself permission to rest, to reset, to redefine strength on your own terms. It's about letting go of the superwoman cape that's been choking you for years and embracing the power of softness, of strategy, of self trust. And in this job market, in this moment, that looks like pivoting from survival to sovereignty. It looks like building something that can't be taken away by a layoff, a policy shift, or a recession. It looks like you stepping into your power, not because you have to, but because you finally can, because you finally gave yourself permission. Sunny Smiles reminded me that we are not at the mercy of this market. We are the disruptors. We are the innovators. We are the ones who turn crises into comebacks, who turn pain into purpose, who turn closed doors into blueprints for building our own houses. And if this so called Black recession is trying to break us, it's about to learn what we've always known: we don't break, we build. So I'm going to leave you with this question, and I want you to sit with it. I want you to feel it. I want you to let it challenge everything you thought you knew about what's possible for you. What if this Black recession is not your ending, but your beginning? What if the door closing is actually the universe saying, sis, you were never meant to fit in that box anyway? What if your soft girl era, your season of rest and reset and radical reimagining, starts right now with one message, one connection, one bold move toward the life you deserve? Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for corporate America to see your value. You already know your worth. Now it's time to build like you know it. Own it. Track it. And watch how everything shifts when you finally choose yourself. The empire you're meant to build is waiting, and it starts today.